think I got it. Okay. Okay. Zok the Heilige Mishnah. Someone made a nether, and the nether was koinim shani nehena la reilim. I'm not going to have any hana from an udel. The halacha is mutter. We're surrounded by a reilim tonight. Tonight, I didn't getting a little reilim. Koinim shani nehena la reilim. Mutter ba'arlo yisrael ba'aser b'mulay avdekacham. An udel doesn't mean someone who has a foreskin. An udel meint ago. So Milah, if an udel is usir, that means whether the udel had a bris or not, machmeshos, it's an udel. And she's an udel, and she's an udel. She's an udel. She's an udel. Then an usir. A bayid, even if he couldn't have a bris, he is not going to be usir. What about the opposite? What if he says shani nehena lemulim? I'm asking myself to have a noah from people who are gemalit. So the halach is aser ba'arla Yisrael. He's only aser on arla Yisrael. Why? He's even aser on arla Yisrael because an arla Yisrael is also referred to as mulim. Umuter b'mulay oived b'chavim. Why? Sheheina arla kruya ela l'shem oived b'chavim. Ago heist an udel. Ago heist an udel. Let's see what the Ran says. She'ein shanin hanal reilim she'ein arla kruya ela l'shem oived b'chavim. The chulu afilu mulim goyim, even if they have their foreskin removed, mikli they're still called an udel. K'dichsiv kichal agoyim araylim ala goyim and araylim avagav de ispi milim, even though they have mulim amongst them. I remember in camp, whenever we were cheering for the bus driver, we would say 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? The bus driver, right? Remember the bus driver, and then some smarlack would say, Aleph Bais Gimel Dalet, they're doing this Gemalid. The bus driver. Remember that? This is you're going to see how do you know he wasn't Gemal? Did anybody check? So the Gemara is going to deal with that today. Okay. So Zok the Heilige Gemara. Zok the Heilige Mishnah weiter. We know that a goy is always called an udel, and the Gemara, the Mishnah brings 3 psukim. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk. Kichol agoyim areilim, ala goyim zin areilim. The whole base Yisrael are they leiv, but they're not areilim. The Omer, we have another pasuk, and the Ram's going to explain why we needed these 3 psukim. So we just had the first pasuk. The Omer v'oya plishti ha'urel azeh. David said yena urel, referring to Goliath, yena urel, right? The Omer. So the Ram's going to say, how did David know that he's an urel? Did he check? Did he pull his pants down? No. Elamai. It must be that a goy has udel no matter what's going on below his belt, right? And it says, "Pen tisamachna b'nois plishtim." The b'nois plishtim are going to be happy. Pen taloizna b'nois haraylim. All goyim zen araylim. So the Ran explains why we have all these 3 psukim. Zok to Gemara, Zok to Ran. The Ran says, "V'omer v'oya plishti udel kloimer the imikra kama." If we only had the first pasuk. I would be able to deflect that riot by saying the chikamer kolagoyim araylim. When it says all the goyim araylim, maybe it doesn't mean that they're literally araylim. Maybe they're arlei leiv, just like the Navi said regarding Klal Yisrael at the end of the pasuk. Arlei leiv kamer behind the kamer save the whole base Yisrael arlei leiv kamoisam. So that's why the Mishnah brings the second raya, Mishamachi Omar, V'Omer V'Oya Plishti Ha'udel Azeh. The Kakari lay David Udel. David referred to Goliath as the Udel. Apogav the Loyada Inoilut Keshumol, even though David had no idea what was going on south of the border. The Chitema Noilut Keshumol Loshchicha, and if you're going to say it's not Shchiach, we can assume that he wasn't Noilut Mohol. That's why we bring a third puzzle. It's impossible that they didn't have any person in the whole nation that was born with a defect without a foreskin, and he still called an udel. So therefore, when a yid says udel, meinte a go. Now the question is we just came off another Mishnah that said quite clearly that you have noildim could mean people born in the future. Noildim could mean people born in the past. Elamai, we work with Lashon B'nei Adam. And what happened to that? And now suddenly we're bringing psukim. But did we forget what we said a minute ago? So the Meforshim speak out that when you have a clear indication of what Lashon B'nai Adam is, so they can go by Lashon B'nai Adam. When they don't have a clear indication of how people speak, they rely, Chazal relied on the psukim to determine what it means. We have one pasuk that said one way, one that said the other way. Say the same thing. Okay, I hear. Okay. Zok Tehiluk Gemara. Zok Tehiluk Mishnah Vayter. I'm sorry. Rabbi Loza ben Azariah Omer. Mu'usa hiya Arla. Arla is Mies Shenisganu Ba Rishoyim, because the Rishoyim are ridiculed with it. Shenemar Kichol Hagoyim Araylim. All the Goyim are Araylim. Rabbi Shmuel Omer. Gedoyla Milah. Milah is such a great mitzvah. Shenichrasu Aleh Shloish Esrei Brisois. There are 13 brisois that were signed or cut. It's called the cut a deal with Bris Milah. What does that mean? So the Ran speaks out. Shloisha Esrei Brisos Nichrasu Aleh. Shloisha Esrei Brisos Nichlevu Parshas Milah. It says the word Bris 13 times in Parshas Milah, and the significance of it is one of the Achreidim speak out. I don't remember who. Is that there's also Shloisha Esrei Midah Sharachim of the Rebbeinu Shloim. How are we zoicha? How can we invoke the Shloisha Esrei Midah Sharachim only if we have a Bris Milah? Yosy Omer, Gedoyla Milah. Milah is such a great mitzvah. Shadoiches Hashamas Chamura. It could even be Doiches Shabbos, which is a Isser Chomer. There's an Isser Skila to violate the Shabbos. Yet we know the Ran speaks out. It says, on the 8th day the bris is made, no matter what day of the week it is, even if it's on Shabbos. Rabbi Shua ben Karchheimer, Gedoyla Milah. Milah is so great.
Why doesn't the Gemara say Gedoyla mitzvah from Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is called Shabbos Shabboson.
I would say because if someone is Machal Yom Kippur, he doesn't get Skila. He gets Kares. But if someone's Machal Shabbos, it's a Misa B'di Adam. It's the most severe Misa. That's what I would think. Although you might ask, what are you talking about? On Yom Kippur, if you violate Yom Kippur to make a bris, he's also eating too. Because you have to eat by the bris too. There's a party.
No, they give it to the kid to drink the wine.
So the adults don't eat. Okay. Rabbi Shua ben Karchheimer, says, Gedoyla Milah, Shlanitla L'Moshe Atzadik Aleha, Afilu Malesha. I believe the Bach says Afilu Malesha. Afilu Malesha. They didn't give Moshe even a minute after he neglected to give a bris to his children. And the Ran elaborates. It's referring to that story where on the way home from Midian to Mitzrayim in the hotel, a snake seized Moshe, swallowed him up to the equator, then dumped him out, and then swallowed up his leg until the equator. So that was a sign that it was about the equator area that the snake was attacking Moshe, so they knew that a bris was required, and Kutmi Tzipora took out a rock, a sharp rock, and mauled the children. So let's see what the Ran says. Molesha, Elamiyad Shenisrasha. The moment Moshe Rabbeinu was Nisrashal in the mitzvah of Milah, Bikesh HaMalach Lohargai, the Malach wanted to kill him. And the Gemara is going to elaborate on that story shortly. Zok the Gemara, Zok the Mishnah Vayter, Rabbi Omer, I think, I'm not sure if the Dal fixed it as Rabbi Yosy. What's the Dal? Rabbi Meir, I think it says. Yeah, Rabbi Meir. Gedoyla Milah is great. Shekola mitzvah, she'asa Avram Avinu, all the mitzvahs that Avram Avinu did, le'nikra sholem. Avram Avinu was not called complete at Shemol until he got his bris.
Did you skip a little? You skipped a little.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did. Thank you very much. Rabbi Nechemia Omer, Gedoyla Milah. Milah is so great. I'm sorry.
I'm nervous the Bris facing out.
Gedoyla Milah. Shedoiches hanagoyim. Milah is doich hanagoyim. And the Ran says, what does it mean? It's doich hanagoyim. We know that there's an iser to cut off a beheres, a nega. What if there's a nega exactly in the place where the moil has to cut? The halacha is the mitzvah of Milah is doichet. So the Meforshim ask, we've just said that it's doichet Shabbos, which is the most chomer de keiser. Why is it so exciting now to say it's doichet a regular lois? So there are those who learn the Negoim is referring to the measures or the Gemara that says that Mashiach is waiting, and Mashiach is full of Negoim right now. He's inflicted with terrible diseases, and he's waiting for the announcement to let him Chal, to let him come and redeem us. So Doiches Negoyim means it pushes away the Negoyim of Mashiach, and Milah will be the mitzvah that's going to bring to Mashiach. Rabbi Omer, Gedolah Milah, Shekola Mitzvah, She'asa Avram Avinu, all of the great mitzvahs and sacrifices that Avram Avinu did, and he was not considered complete. At Shemol, until he got his bris. Shenemar Hersalach Lefanai Vayesamim. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling Avram Avinu about the mitzvah of Milah, he said, then you'll be complete. Dover Acher, Nachab Shat, Milah, Gedolah Milah so great, Shel Molahi, if it wasn't for Milah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Selamai. HaKadosh Baruch Hu would not even have created the world if it wasn't for the mitzvah of Milah. Shenemar, Kayamar Hashem, Im Loi Berisi Yoyim V'Layla, Hulka Shemayim V'Eretz Le'Samti. And the Mishnah continues because the Rishonim have a girsa that will look into the Ran 4, where the Ran says, Gedolah Milah, Sheishkula, Connected Kol HaMitzvah Sheb'Torah, Shenemar Hine Dam HaBris. The Afagav, so it says in the pasuk Hine Dam HaBris, it's referring into Pashas Mishpatim, when there was a carbon brought. I'm not sure if I have it over here in the Pesukim over here, but I believe we have it. I don't think it's quoted here, but I think it's quoted over here. It says in the pasuk, "Hine dam habris." No, I don't have the whole pasuk quoted here. Let me see if the Kutei Rashi or the Rosh bring down the whole pasuk. No, I don't see it. No, I don't see it. So the pasuk in the Mishpatim that talks about the dam habris that Moshe Rabbeinu they made a carbon b'shas matan Torah. And he said, Hine dam habris, and that's really referring to the dam of a carbon. So fraked around, the avagav da'idam, la'idav milahu, lav da milahu el carbon, even though that was only referring to the dam of a carbon. Mikol makom kivin the Torah kula ksiv bris. All over the Torah it says bris. Bris is a word that you see all over the Torah. Uva milah nami ksiv bris, and by milah it says bris as well. Therefore, we say from there, the mitzvah shkula connected kol mitzvahs. That tells us that the mitzvah shkula connected kol mitzvahs. So I saw an interesting pshat as follows. First of all, what does it mean? What does it mean Avram Avinu wasn't complete until he got Milah, and that's made him complete? So that proves that Milah is the most chashuv mitzvah. I don't understand. Milah could be a tiny little mitzvah. He's 99% there, and he was complete when he got to the 1%. How does the fact that Avram Avinu was only called Tamim when he got the mitzvah of Milah, how did that prove that Milah is the most important mitzvah? The other kasha they ask is this halach of Milah can call mitzvahs. So the machlokes Rambam and Ramban about the purpose for the mitzvah of Milah. The Rambam says that the fact is it's a physical thing that when the Milah is cut off, it reduces the level of passion, the level of Yetzer Hara. So someone without a bris has a much stronger, overwhelming Yetzer Hara. Once the bris is made, so then the level of Yetzer Hara isn't so strong anymore. Imagine it could be stronger, right? Because we all had bris, and the Yetzer Hara is still very compelling. So I'll call upon him. There's a mitzias, and the reason for it, the mitzvah of Milah is to reduce that terrible nisayon. The Ramban says, yes, that is true that the bris does that. But the reason why the Rebbe Shem gave us the mitzvah of Milah is to be chaysim in every yid, the bris kodesh, the bris of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the chaysim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there's such a machlokes. So let's think about this for a second. Avram Avinu, before he had the bris, the nisayon that he had to keep all of the Torah was much greater than the nisayon that he had after he got his bris, because lefum tzayir agra. So if you think about it, by him doing the bris, it actually sacrifices all of the schar that he's going to get for Kol HaTorah Kula. Yet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu still told him to make the bris. So that's why you see that the Doila Milah, that it's Kol HaTorah Kula, because it was Kedai to give up the amount of schar that he'll get for every mitzvah in the Torah, just to be Mekad the mitzvah of Milah. So if I wish Akiva was here. So how does that answer the question of Tamim? So we know from the Tanya, for those who learn Tanya, Akiva taught this to me, that most people are Beinani. What is a Beinani? A Beinani means that his Yetzer Hara is still trying to influence him to follow Bahamias, not good things. And he is repelling and resisting the Yetzer Hara. So that's a Beinoni. A Beinoni is someone who has nisyonis but overcomes them. A real tzaddik is someone who's already convinced the Yetzer Hara to come onto his side, where the Yetzer Hara already is already on the Yetzer Tov side. That's a very high madrega. When Avram Avinu got his bris, that's what happened. He went from someone who struggles with the Yetzer Hara, although he wins, to someone who now he's kulei tov. So that makes sense that it's Tamim. So it's not the fact that it's one mitzvah; it's the fact that it's changed over his whole mitzias from someone who did struggle with the Yetzer Hara to someone who didn't struggle with the Yetzer Hara because it took it away. So that's what I saw in the Mefarshim. Okay, let's see the Gemara. Tanya Rabbi Shua ben Karchheimer. Gedoy Milah. Milah is so great. Shekol zechiyos she'asa Moshe Rabbeinu. All of the unbelievable righteous things that Moshe Rabbeinu did, the schusim that he had, he did everything. Still, loy amduloi, he said nisrashol min Milah. So I misspoke because he wasn't the Kabbalah player at that point. But he did some really good things even before this issue happened with the Milah. Yet it didn't help him. He delayed the Milah for a minute, and the snake got him. Shenemar v'yivkesheyu Hashem v'yivakeshem Isai, and he wanted to kill him. Omar Rabbi Yosy, I think the Gimel says Rabbi Yosy. Does anybody have a Bach? Let me see what the Bach says. Omar Rabbi Yosy, yeah. Omar Rabbi Yosy. Chas v'sholem sheMoshe Rabbeinu nisrashel min Milah. How could we suggest that Moshe Rabbeinu was nisrashel from a mitzvah? Elakach Omar, he actually had justification for his delay. He said, Emor ve'etzei, should I mal my children and leave immediately to go to Mitzrayim as per Hashem's commandment? Sakani, that would be very dangerous. Shenemar v'hi b'yom ha'shlishi v'hi yosem kayavim. And you see that they're unwell. So you might ask, that's the third day. Why didn't he leave right away? Right? So we have this thing that the third day, Yom Shlishi Milah, that's when it's the worst, right? And that's when they attacked Shem. But the Ran tells us something that we're not true, that we're under a misconception. The Ran says, the second to the bottom line, the Chsiv Ha'ibay Mashish Ben Mekavim, the Lav member the Bayoy Mashlishi Koyev Leitzvei Miyoy Mekama. Don't think that the third day is any worse than the first day. All first 3 days are severe. El Lakachim Tinu Shimon v'Levi Ajoy Mashlishi. Why did Shimon and Levi wait till the third day? Is because Kadeshu Chalushin B'Yoser Shenichabu Gimel Yomim. When you're in such severe pain for such a long time, it mamish knocks the wind out of you. But Avada the first day is just as bad. So therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu says, "How could I leave now and put my children in danger?" So, how about Emo v'Eshet? Maybe I should do the bris and I'll wait 3 days and then depart to Mitzrayim. Problem is, Hakadosh Baruch Hu Amali Leich Shuv Mitzrayim. Hashem said, "Go now." So now I'm literally between a rock and a hard place. Ella. So with such a good calculation, what was the avla that Moshe Rabbeinu did? Zok to Gemara, mipnei is asik b'molo in tchila. It sounds like the Quran's going to tell us that imagine someone's driving from New York to Toronto, and he's on the QEW, and he's exhausted. You can't keep your eyes open anymore because you already waited 2 hours by the border, and there was bumper-to-bumper traffic, and then by the time you get to the Burlington Bay Skyway, it was windy. You had to go around. You're wiped out of your mind, and there's traffic on the QEW. You say, you know what? I can't make it. You pull off, and in Mississauga, you stop at the hotel. So that's what he did. And in the hotel, the nation is asik b'mol tchila. Since he spent time relaxing in the hotel, he should have immediately made the bris as soon as he stopped off at the hotel. Shenemar v'hi b'derech b'molin. It happened in the hotel. Zok tehila garan. Shenesasik b'mol tchila. Shenemar b'derech b'molin. The mashma the miyat sheba min derech. As soon as he stopped for the day, nesasik b'molin. So you're asking me, how do I know that I stopped in Mississauga? Maybe he got home. Zok Tiran, he should have maled before he relaxed in the hotel and went to the swimming pool. You might ask, how could he be maled? He didn't get home yet. The next morning, you have to get up, check out of the hotel, and drive through Mississauga to get back. You still have to do the QEW. She has to do the 427. You never know what you could run into, right? You still have to travel. So of course he could have maled. So why would it be a tfi on him? The place where he stopped was close enough to Mitzrayim, just to travel a small amount of distance would not have been a sakana. So that's where it was a time on him. You stop close enough to Mitzrayim, that you should have done the bris right away and then continue on in your journey. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Loila Moshe Rabbeinu bikei Satan lahari. The Satan wasn't looking to kill Moshe, Elo Tinik. He wanted to kill the Rachanima or the Racha Oro. Shenemar, because what did Sipporah say after she did the bris with the stone and she celebrated that her husband and her child were saved? I'm sorry. I'm not sure. So it could be it was attacking Moshe to let Moshe know there's trouble here. But the ultimate, if he wouldn't have reacted quickly, ultimately it wasn't Moshe who would have gotten killed; it was the child. Because what did she say? Ki chasan damim atali. She said the potential victim that was saved was the chatan damim. Who is the star of the show by the bris? Not Avia Ben, the baby. Say re'ei mi kari chasan. Havoymer zeh tinik. Shenasa chasan al yidei bris. The tinik is becoming a chasan by the bris. So it's not what I said at the start of the show. It means he's called a chasan. He would be called a chasan once he has his bris. Beautiful. Zok the Gemara. Dorish Rabbi Yehuda bar Bizna b'shosh v'nisrash Moshe Rabbeinu min Milah. When Moshe Rabbeinu delayed the Milah, bo af v'chema ubaluhu. There were two malachim. One of them was af and one of them was chema. If you're ever walking down a dark alley and you see a guy named af and a guy like chema, I suggest you split as quickly as you can because they only bring trouble with them. As a matter of fact, the Mepharshim say that the word chema, anger, would be extremely destructive, but Hashem put his name into it. So the name is really Cham. We know that Ish v'Isha, if they have the Rebbeinu Shem, there's Shchina Shru b'neihem, because Ish without the Yud and Isha without the Hey is Eish and Eish. That's a fire exploding. That's not a good situation. But by injecting Hashem's name into their names, into their being, so that gives them a rational approach to be able to get along. So too this Malach. If it was just Cham, it would be unbridled destruction. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu's name is injected into it. Okay? Ubalu. The Mitzvah actually brings down a very interesting Rosh Tevis of what Chema stands for. It stands for destruction. Let me, give me 1 second. I'll look it up in the Yaakov Berurim. I forgot to put my screen there to remember what it was. But I had a very, very nice Rosh Tevis of what Chema stands for. Let me just quickly see if I can find it. I apologize. I didn't have it prepared, ready to go. But I believe he says it right over here. What Chema stands for. Let's see where we are. It's a pasuk that we're all very familiar with. Let's see where we have it. Oh, here it is. He says it is Yitamu Chatoim Min Haaretz. Yeah, Yitamu Chatoim Min Haaretz is Yud Ches Mem Hey. Right, that would be if the Cham was allowed to come together, then it would be dangerous. It would be Yitamu Chatoim Min Haaretz. But since the Yud separates the Cham, the Rosh Tevis will be Chesed Yokuk Mola Haaretz, which is a pasuk in Tehillim. So the fact that Hashem's name is in there prevents them from being as destructive as they would otherwise be. Okay, so let's see what the Gemara says. So Av and Chema were on a rampage. Ubalu, and they swallowed up Moshe Rabbeinu. V'leishayru mimenu ela raglo. They only left his feet out. Miyad, when Sipporah saw that, she understood what the message was. And it says, "Vatigach Sipporah tzor, vatichre says orlas beno," and she right away cut off the orla. Miyad vayirif mimenu. He was freed. Now Moshe didn't feel he did anything wrong. Moshe felt that he was oishik with mitzvah part of a mitzvah, which we're going to get to in a minute. Why that is? So he thought that these malachim acted on their own and not with a tziduf from the Rebbeinu Shalom. So therefore, Moshe saw because Moshe Rabbeinu laharban. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to kill these two malachim, Af and Chema. Shenemar herif me'af v'azoiv Chema. The Rebbeinu tells Moshe, stay away from Af and Chema. Break it up. Don't touch him. Don't kill him. The Yesh Aimim, there are those who say that Hargul Chema, the Bach changes these two words around. In fact, Moshe Rabbeinu did kill Chema, but Af survived. Shenemar Chema Einli. Frank Gemara Baksiv, it says in the Borim, Ki Agarti Mipnei Afa Chema. So you see Chema was still there. So the Gemara, Trei Chema Havu. There were two Chemas. Moshe killed one of them, and one of them Moshe didn't kill. The boy Chema, Gunda de Chema. Sure, the Breslov Rebbe might not be alive anymore, but all his Hasidim are still alive, right? So therefore, sure, Chema was killed, but his ganze Chavraya was still around, and that's who Moshe Rabbeinu mentioned in the Borim, Ki Agarti Mipnei Afa Chema. So I want to share two interesting things. First thing we have to ask is, there's actually a Machlokes Rishonim. When you say Oisik B'mitzvah Potam in a mitzvah, what does that mean? That means if you're in the middle of doing a mitzvah, so Moshe Rabbeinu was in the middle of doing a mitzvah, he was traveling on behalf of the Rebbeinu Shalom from Midian to Mitzrayim, right? Does that mean every single second of the way he's busy? No. So there's a Machlokes Rishonim. When you say Oisik Mitzvah Potam mitzvah, does that mean only if you cannot do the mitzvah, or it means no? If you're busy with one mitzvah, you don't have to divert your attention to another mitzvah. So if you hold that Hoisik mitzvah is part of a mitzvah, even if you have a couple of minutes, well, then what was Moshe Rabbeinu's outlook? And there are those who learn that's why Moshe Rabbeinu was upset at these malachim, and he felt that maybe the Rebbeinu didn't send them. But there are those who learn. There's also a shaila if you say Hoisik mitzvah part of a mitzvah when the mitzvah that you're parting from is a chayv krisis. So there's such a pshat that maybe that's what Moshe Rabbeinu did, or there are those who learn that Moshe was be'emes nisraf. And that was the outlook. So there's a discussion about that. The other question is, let me ask you a question. If you, Mati once told me about a moil who's such a good moil, who he has a whole program before, right, that your son used, right? If he would walk in and pull out a stone, he says, I was in Bilyort, I found the stone on the beach. Isn't that a cool stone? This is what I'm going to use to molly your kid. You would throw him out, find out a moil, right? Who would molly with a stone? You ever such thing? Or imagine the moil says, I was in a rush on the way over here, and I got into an accident, and my headlight broke, but the glass is so perfect, I'm going to use that for your son. Where does it come from? Why didn't they your life? So I'm going to tell you the Drisha says, okay, the Drisha says, the Drisha says in Hilchos Milah that the minig is to use a knife and not a stone, although any sharp object would be acceptable to a bris. Zok Drisha, it used to be that they only made brisin with stones or glass shards. They didn't use a metal knife. And what happened is once upon a time, we learned the story very recently, a couple of minutes ago, David HaMelech was attacking Goliath. And he took a stone and he spun it in a slingshot and he shot it at Goliath. And as the stone, his guided missile, is flying through the air, the stone sends a message back to David and says, Houston, we got a problem. There's a metal helmet in my way. I'm not going to be able to get through. So the stone asked the metal helmet, please, I got to get through the helmet. I got to kill Goliath. Let me through. So the stone says, I'll make you a deal. Deal? I got work to do. This is the deal. If you give me over the schus of Bris Milah, if you give metal the schus of doing Bris Milah, I'll let you through. And the metal said, come on in. And that's how we killed Goliath. And it's brought down that since the time that David HaMelech killed Goliath with his slingshot, since then they started to use metal knives for brisin. That's what the Drisha brings down. Pretty fascinating story. Okay. Zok tehel gemor vayter. Tanya, Rabbi Omer.
How does he back it up?
Knives are made of metal.
That's right. But they used to use rocks to do the
Oh,
bris.
they used to use.
That's why Tzipora used a rock. The meaning was to use a rock. Until that story, they started using metal. Yeah. Okay. Rabbi Omer, Rabbi says. It's very funny, like the metal. If I was the metal, I would say, you know what? Make me Yosy Pushka. Like there's a lot of different good use. Make me the Caleb in the base of Mikdash. I don't know why they wanted to be that. What? He wants something only the stone had. Okay, I hear. I didn't know that the metal would be jealous of that. I'm sorry? That's right. I'm only going to ask you something that you have to give me. Tanya Rabbi Omer. Nobody was Isaac a mitzvah like Avram Avinu. Well, the Nikra Tamam and even Avram was not considered Tamam El Al Shem Milah. Shenema Hisalech Lefanai Vayei Tamam. So they asked, well, Yitzchak and Yaakov, they didn't do mitzvahs? But the answer they say is very simple. They did the mitzvahs, but they got their bris at 8 days old. But for Shteitzach, it's not a problem. Avram Avinu his whole life had to fight the Eitzorah before his bris. It says Ve'etna Brisi Beini Ubeinecha. Right after it says, hey, Tamim, so you see the bris is what makes the tamimis of a person. And again, we said this for earlier, because of Milah, all the mitzvah shabbatayah, the schar for them becomes schwacher because you have less of a taiva to be over them. Shneimar, it says in the pasuk, Kapi Advarim Ha'ela. So let's look at the whole pasuk. Right.
He's still called Tommy when he did the bris.
No, but doesn't the Gemara say, even though he's Mekayim all the mitzvahs, which one wasn't he?
All mitzvahs holy to earth. It's sure.
I guess whatever he was able to. V'yom Hashem Moshe Kshav L'chas Advar Ma'ela Ki Al Pi Advar Ma'ela Karati Itcha Es Bris Ves Yisrael. So he's learning that Bris means the Bris Milah. So you see that the Bris Milah is like Kol Hadvar Ma'ela is connected Kol HaTorah Kula. That is how Rebbe, that's Rebbe, right? The Davar Acher and Rebbe. But we have another pshat. Davar Acher Gedei LaMilah Shel Milah LaNiskaimu Shemayim V'Aretz. If it wasn't for Milah, there wouldn't be Kiyum of the world. Shenemayim Lo Berisi Yomim V'Layla Chukas Shemayim V'Aretz Lo Samti. Let's look at the full pasuk. Let's read the full pasuk. Im Lo Berisi Yomim V'Layla. Let me see if I can find it. Im Lo Berisi Yomim V'Layla Chukas Shemayim V'Aretz Lo Samti. Upligi to Rabbi Eliezer. This argues on Rabbi Eliezer. Because Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Gedoi LaTorah, Shalmai LaTorah, when he's Kaim Shemayim V'Aretz. Shenemim Lo Berisi Yomim V'Layla Chukas Shemayim V'Aretz Lo Samti. So Rabbi Eliezer learns that the Berisi Yomim V'Layla is referring to the Torah. But Rabbi learned Brisi was referring to a Bris Milah. So there's a big question. If you're telling me that Lo Niskaimu Shemayim V'Aretz without Milah, so in Pirkei Avos we have a Mishnah. Al Shloisha Devarim Ha'olam Omed. Al Torah, Al Avodah, Al Gemilas Chasadim. Shouldn't it say V'al Milah? So the Maharsha brings down that when it says Al Shloisha Devarim Ha'olam Omed, that's talking about society. Society would not be able to continue without Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. But we're not talking about the structural integrity of the world, of the creation. That is held up by mitzvah Milah. Okay, Gavaltik. Let me see if there's a run on this. No, I don't see a run. Zok the Gemara Vayter. Omar Abidu Omar Rav. The Shosh Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Avram Avinu. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Avram Avinu, "Is halech lefanai v'yei tamim." Walk in front of me and be complete. Ach zosei rada. Imagine if the Rav comes up to you and says, "Yanko, I want you to become complete." So the first thing you ask, what did I do wrong? Right? What does he want from me? So that's what happens to Avram. Ach zosei rada. Omar Shema Yesh Bidavar Maguna. Maybe I did something bad. Maybe I have a thing that's deficient. But Kivan Shamalai, the Etna Brisi Ben Ibn Echa, once Hashem said, no, it's a Bris Milah, but nothing that you're doing wrong. Niskara Daitai. Avram Avinu, calm down. It says, Vayaytze Eitza Achutza. Right? This is a very famous pasuk. It says in the pasuk, Vayaytze Eitza Achutza, Hashem took him out. So we're going to learn Pasuk Pshat in the pasuk because Hashem took him outside. We're soon going to see a different shot on this. But what does it say? And he told Avraham Avinu, go look up into the heavens and count the stars. And that's how many children you're going to have, like as many stars as they are. Now remember, I spoke out recently by the yard site of Reb Meir Shapiro, how he learned Pshat in this pasuk, and he learned differently Pshat in the pasuk. And Shmuley Hauer said this over by Moshe Rachmas Levaya. Remember the word? The beautiful word. If I take you outside and says, Shlomi, you want to count the stars. You had in your mind, how can I count the stars? No one can count the stars. Avram Avinu went and started counting. So Hashem said, Kol Yizaracha. Your children, Klal Yisrael, will never limit their expectations and their goals based on their misconception of what they think their limitations are. They will reach for the stars. And Kol Yizaracha. That's how Reb Meir Shapiro learned. Beautiful, beautiful pshat. Okay, so but we're going to have now a different pshat of a Yotzei Zachutza. Amar Lefanav. Avram Avinu told Rebbe Shalom, "Mistakalti b'mazel shli." I checked out my mazel. Ve'nei leben echad. I only have Yishmael. So how am I going to have so many children? Amar Lei, same is technish shalach. Get out of your nonsense, your astrology. So that means Yotzei Zachutza. Hashem pulled him out from his astrology. Ein mazel li Yisrael. Klal Yisrael doesn't have mazel. And the Rambam says The Rambam says that there's no mazel for Yisrael, and we don't have to consider anything at all. The Ramban says, Avada, there is mazel Yisrael, but what ain't mazel Yisrael means that with tefillah, with tshuva, with ma'asim tovim, we could change it. So the Ramah passes halacha l'maaseh that you have to be choshesh for mazel. So there's certain days where we know you're not supposed to do things. Like, sorry, that's right. But
Maybe what he means is a mazel Yisrael. To an individual Yisrael, there's no mazel. But
Could
to
be.
Klal Yisrael is mazel.
Could be. Very nice. Okay, Walter. So that's the Gemara. Rabbi Yitzchak, Kol hamasmim atzmoi. If I'm not mistaken, the Balaturim says on Vayoytze Eitza Chutza is the gematria of its tagninos. I think the Balaturim says on that word on Vayoytze Eitza Chutza he says it's the gematria of its tagninos. I didn't calculate it, but I think that's what he says. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Kol hamasmim atzmoi. If someone makes himself tamimistic, so Kadosh Baruch Hu masmim, Hashem is tamimistic with him, everything goes smooth. I think what this means is the best type of a life to have is a boring life, right? I never want anything to go on in my life that the Mishpacha magazine should want to interview me over, right? All these people, they went through terrible challenges and they get interviewed. I don't need I want to be boring, generic. The best type of life is a boring, generic life. You get up, medaven, verlernt, mitzit avoide, you raise children. What? What? But I mean, to me, Mr. Life, ich sehe nicht kein action, ich sehe nicht kein spotlight. Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, im chosid tischasod, im gever tamim titamim. With a chosid, der Rebbeinu Shalom das chesed, with a tamimistic mensch, Hashem does tamimus. Amar Boishia, kol hamas mimatzmo, if someone becomes tamimistic, if someone's tamimistic, shoy medesloi. His life works out for him. Shenemar his halach lefanai v'yei tamim. And right after that, it says, so Avram Avinu, acting with Tamimus, ended up being king of the world. Amar Rebbe, Kol Menachesh, someone who's Menachesh, which means he makes these little utterances. I mean, I forgot what the English word for it. You know, he whispers these things, and he makes some on them. So the halacha is Loi Nachash. He will end up being attacked by these Nachashim. Let's see what the Ram says. Kol Menachesh Loi Nachash, Shanachashim, Vaksamim, Roitam Acharov. All of these things are going to run after him. He'll get damaged with everything. So better he should be tamimistic. He shouldn't make any type of chishos. Shenemar, how do you know that he will have nachash? Because it says kiloi nachash b'yachid. Correct the Gemara, that makes no sense because loy is with an aleph. But balamed aleph ksiv. So what do you mean he will have no nichush? He will not have nichush. Ella mishamida connected mida. It's just that kiloi nachash b'Yaakov because he doesn't do the chisha. He's not menachish. But if he would be menachish, then he would have problems with these things. Tani ahava b'reid Rabzera. Kol adam she'ena menachish. Someone who's not menachish, he's tamimistic. Machnizan oisoi b'mechitza. He's going to get the hack. He is going to get into the inner circle of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Shafilu malachai asharis ein yecholim likanis b'soicha. Even the Malachim, they're going to ask them, what's going on with Rebbeinu Shalom? What's the latest hack? What's the Rebbeinu Shalom planning? Because the Malachim will be outsiders compared to someone who was with Tamimis. Let me just finish the Gemara and the Ram. And the Ram fears Ois. Let me finish. The Ram, let me just finish. The Ram fears Ois. Right after this pasuk, it says, the Malachai Asharish are going to ask Klal Yisrael, Ma Polkel, what's the Abish doing? Why don't they know? Since they don't make nichosh, they get into the inner circle with the Rebbeinu Shalom that's in such a close proximity. So even Shein Malachai Asharish Yecholen Likanisba. V'nir Be'inat zokt around the Hakanami Mida Connected Mida. This is also working with Mida Connected Mida. Shemitay Shein Haydem Gras Nachoshim Leida Hasidois. He doesn't use these different types of spells to see the future. Even the Malachai Asharis.
What nichish mean? If I went out and there's a black cat or lachash.
Oh, it's not a lachash, it's nachash. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. So nichish means it's someone who's superstitious. You go there, so it's not a lechisha. So I apologize. So thank you very much. I said false prat. So someone who doesn't have all these superstitions goes betmimus. That's a person who's going to do okay.
Kosim is maybe.
Well, the show is in Century Village.
That's not kosim.
Yeah, but the Ran saying the question will come after him.
Yeah.
Right,
So it
right,
wants to do,
right.
whatever.
It's the same idea, dealing with these magical things. Amar b'bo, Amar b'lo, repayman nemesh Avram Avinu, v'nishtavdu bono, l'mitzrayim, Messiah v'esrashon. What did Avram Avinu do wrong that because of him, Klal Yisrael were punished in Mitzrayim? They worked in Mitzrayim for 210 years. What he did is he made Talmidei Chachamim in his yeshiva. He made them go to the war. He made them into soldiers. Shenemar v'yorkes chanicha v'yelidei beisai. Yelidei beisai refers to all the people that he attracted to come and learn Torah. My brother Moshe always tells me over a funny story with Rabbi Kaplan Zatzal, with David Noach Kaplan. It was night seder, and someone walks into the Bismedish and tells Rabbi Kaplan, "There's a Meis Mitzvah Chasna going on right now. I need 10 Bochum right now to come with me to Chasna to be Mesameh Chasna Makala." So Rabbi Kaplan says, "Geh rein in den Hospital und sag, ich darf 10 Doctors sollen kommen tanzen. Und geh rein in den Mishpat und sag, ich darf 10 Lawyers sollen kommen tanzen. Was kommt da hier? Ich will doch am Lernen. Das sind vernommen. Nehmen den Doctor, den Lawyers, sollen sie tanzen. But the Bochum don't allow them." That's a typical of David Noach, Meiser. Oh, so that's what happened. Avraham Avinu took the Bochum. But Shmuel said the Oynish was to play Shehifnin al Midoishev Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He second guessed the Rebbeinu Shalom. Shenemar, he said, "Bama Edak Hirashana." How do I know that my descendants are going to get Eretz Yisrael? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Shehifrish b'nei Adam b'lichanis tachas kaf mashchina. He actually prevented people from coming to yeshiva. How did he prevent people from coming to yeshiva? Because after Avraham Avinu with the 4 Malachim won the war, the Malachim came over to him and told him, "Shenemar tein li nefesh v'chushkach loch." I'm sorry. Right. So he said, "Give me the people that were captured that you saved. Give me all the people. You can have all the money." And Avraham Avinu was masking to that. Why? He should have taken all those people and he could have taught them Torah and he could have made them into Eden. He could have made them into people who know the Rebbeinu Shalom. So that was a tefillah on him why he let them go back to Sodom. And he got his people ready to go fight. What does the Vayork mean? Rav Amar Shahirikan b'Torah. What did he do? He was Mizarezim with Torah. He told me if we Torah mitzvahs, and that's how you win wars. That's one pshat in the Ran. The Ran has another pshat that's exactly the opposite. Let's see the Ran. Shahirikan b'Torah, Zirzim b'Torah. Loshenacher Harikan mina Torah. Vayork Shanicha was a bad thing. He took him away from Torah, right? I'm sorry. Shmuel Amar. I'm sorry. Yeah. Shmuel Amar Sharikim Azov. What he did is he paid them a lot. The soldiers that he hired, those people, he paid them a portion. What did it say? How many people did he take? Shmoina Aser Shloish Meyos. That's 318 people. An unusual amount. Where did that weird number of 318 come from? Amar Bami Barabba. Eliezer connected Kulam. Even though he had 318 people, he also had Eliezer there, and Eliezer did more for the war efforts than them. They were a bunch of Batlun, and Eliezer was the hero. Ikud Ami, those who learned that there weren't 318 people. It was only Eliezer. Eliezer who? The Chush ben Hachi. The Gematria of Eliezer is 318. And let's figure it out. The Reish is 200, and then Ayin is 70, and Lamed is 30. So that's 300. Yud is 10. 10 and 7 is 17, and 1 is 8. So it's 318. So that's what it was. So there are those who ask, if Eliezer did everything, so why did he bother bringing 318 people? The teretz is, he brought the 318 people because even when Avraham Avinu knows there's going to be a nest, you always have to make a look as much b'derech hatev as possible. But he took with for 318 men to show everybody that, yeah, even though we want to make it look like it's b'derech hateva, but we realize that the Rebbeinu Shalom is making nisim for us. How old was Avraham Avinu when he recognized Rebbeinu Shalom? He was all of 3 years old. How do we know that? Hashem listened to my koil Akev. What does Akev mean? Akev is the gematria. Let's look at it again. Kuf is 100, Ayin is 70, and Beis is 2. So for 172 years, Avram Avinu was Makar Rebbeinu Shalom. How many years did he live? 175. Come to Chais, 3 out of those years, he wasn't Makar Rebbeinu Shalom. Chush b'nei Meir b'Shivin the train, and he lived 175. So that's how we know that at 3 he was Makar Rebbeinu Shalom. Rabbi Barabba said, Ha-Satan. The word Ha-Satan, b'chush b'nei, if you look at its gematria, this is a famous shtickle, is 364, one less than the amount of days in a year. And the Ran speaks out this famous word, a solar year is 365. The less the Satan is on paid leave 1 day a year. That's Yom Kippurim. But there are those who ask, the word is Satan, not Ha-Satan. So why are we using the Hey as well? So those who learn that you're right. Satan is not 364, it's 359. Because we're missing 5 days. Which 5 days are we missing? We know that the first day of Sukkot is Rishon and the Cheshbon HaVoynos, because there's no Averis happening between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, and it's just Satan. And there's actually 5 days where the Satan is out of commission. The Amar Rami Bar Abba, Ksiv Avram. I'm sorry? Yeah. That's right. Avraham. So 5 was added on to Avram's name. At first, Avram only had full control over 243 Avarim, and then he added a Hey, and then Avram Avinu took control over an additional 5 Avarim. Elohein, what are the extra 5 Avarim that Avram got control over after he got his Hey? Shtei Einayim, the 2 eyes, Ushtei Oznayim, and the 2 ears, V'rosh HaGviyah. What does it mean he didn't have control? Zok Tehele Garan, Shtei Einayim, Ushtei Oznayim, Shebetchila Hilmuichu HaKadosh Baruch Hu Alei Vorov, Shein B'Rshusei Lizor Me'avera. Every other limb in your body, you could control it from doing an Avera. Avol Einav Ha'oznav Shel Adam, but one's eyes and one's ears, Einav B'Rshusei. They're not totally in your control. Shori Al Korcha Yira Be'einav V'Oznav Yishama. It's possible that he's going to see something that's inappropriate, or that he'll hear something that's inappropriate, and he doesn't have control over it. He could shut his eyes right away, but that flash he's going to see it. But when he became Gemalit, Hashem added the 5. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu protected him that she shouldn't even see by mistake or hear anything other than the Dvar Mitzvah. Right? Oh, didn't want to divide it. Oh, so Imam said Shlita over it. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. So Chaim is saying, it says, Vayishlach Yodai, Vayishlach Hamachelas, Vayishlach Avimashodi. Avram had to constantly push his hand, because if it wasn't the Ratzon Hashem, it wouldn't work. His hand wouldn't do a verse. The Amar Rami Bar Abba, it says in the pasuk, a beautiful pasuk. Let me just hold my finger on the place inside. Ir Ketana. There's a small city, Ba'anoshim Ba Ma'at, and there's very few people in it. What is the pasuk in Kelos referring to, Dr. Gemara? Ir Ketana Zavguf. That is the guf. Mati, sometimes I feel like my guf is an Ir Gedoyla, but it's supposed to be an Ir Ketana. Va'anoshim Ba Ma'at, and there's very few people in it. Elu Evarim. Those are the Evarim of the person. Uba Elel Melech Godol V'Sibe V'Oisa, and a big king came. It's V'Sova V'Oisa, and surrounded it. Who's surrounding us? Zeh Yetzer Hara. That's the Yetzer Hara. The pasuk goes on. Uvana Aleh Mitzudim Gedolim. So the word Haramim is taken out, and he built great fortresses there. What are those? Elu Avoinos. Those are the averes of a person. Umatzaba, and he found in it Ish Miskein Chacham, a poor wise man. I think Miskein means poor. A poor wise man. Who's that? Zeh Yetzer Tov. That's the Yetzer Tov. And the pasuk goes on and says, Milah too, this old wise man saved Esair b'chachmasoi with his wisdom. What was his wisdom? Zutshuva u'maisim toivim. And then the typical, anyone who's good, the adam loizacher esayisa mishkenehu. Nobody remembered the good guy, right? Good guys finished last. Adam loizacher esayisa mishkenehu. Why? B'shas Yetzer Hara, when someone is gripped by the Yetzer Hara, he's overtaken with passion, less than mitgalei Yetzer Tov. You can't remind him of the Yetzer Tov. He doesn't see the Yetzer Tov. He is totally consumed. So we know that until bar mitzvah, a person only has a Yetzer Hara, and then by bar mitzvah the Yetzer Tov comes. So that means the Yetzer Tov got there first. But from the pasuk you see that the Yetzer Hara Tov was there the whole time, and the Yetzer Hara surrounded. So there are those who tell us that you see from here that when a person is in his mother's stomach, when he's an Uber, there he has the Yetzer Tov. He's there with the Malach of the Yetzer Tov, who teaches him Kol Tarakula. When he's born and the Malach gives him the flick, that's when the Yetzer Tov gets thrown out and the Yetzer Hara comes, and by the mitzvah, the Yetzer Tov comes back and takes over. Zok the Heilige Pasuk weiter. HaChachma toz lechacham. The Chachma will strengthen the Chacham more than Meyasara Shalitim, more than what 10 people or 10 guards will save him. And the Ran says Meyasara Shalitim Sholtim Ba'adam, that control a person. Sharoiv Masay Adam Nasmal Yudeim. So most of the Maisim of a person gets done through these Evarim, and the Chachma is stronger than that. HaChachma toz lechacham zu tshuva Maisim Toivim. That's referring to tshuva Maisim Toivim. Meyasara Shalitim. What are those? They're the Shtei Nayim, Ushtei Aznayim, Ushtei Adayim, Ushtei Raglayim, Rosh Hakveh Upeh. Those are Asar Shalitim, but Tshuva Maisim Toivim make someone stronger than that. Amar B'Zachariah Mishum Rabbi Shmuel. Bikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lahaitzi Kahuna Mishem. Really, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted that Kahuna should be from Shem. That means all of Shem's descendants should be Kohanim, like it says in the pasuk, Vu Kohen Lekel Elyon. So let's see where it says Malchi Tzedek Melech Sholem, who was Shem. V'Haitzi Lechem V'Yayin Vu Kohen Lekel Elyon. So you see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted Shem to be the Kohen. Even Shehikdim Birchas Avram L'Birchas Hamakayim, but when he inappropriately gave a bracha to Avram before he thanked the Rebbeinu Shalom, Haitzia me'Avram. Hashem now brought Kahuna out of Avram and not from Shem. So let's see what it says. Remember, it says in the pasuk Vayerecheyu, and Malchi Tzedek benched first Avram. V'yemebarach Avram L'Kel Elyon Koine Shemayim Haaretz. Ubarach Kel Elyon, and then Baruch Kel Elyon. So therefore, when he did that improperly, at that point he lost the Kahuna. Even though Avram is a descendant of Shem, what it means is now Avram was zoicha to it, not because he yashed it through Shem, the Ran says, because Shem lost the whole right to have it. Avram on his own schos was zoicha to the Kahuna. Amalai Avram admonished Shem, v'chi makdimin birchas eved. Is it appropriate that you should praise me before the Rebbeinu Shalom? Miyad nosnal Avram. I guess it's Masha Avram had to be Moicha. If he wasn't Moicha, then he's no better. Once he was Moicha, it was given to Avram. Shenemar. And this needs a little bit of focus. It says in the Tehillim, Kapitel Kuf Yud, David Mizmar, David said as follows: Nu'um Hashem Ladoni. Hashem said to my master, and my master is Avram Avinu. Meaning you sit on my right side, meaning I'm going to protect you in everything that you do. Your enemies are going to fall to your feet. So clearly, this pasuk is referring to Avram Avinu. In a couple of psukim later in the kapitel, in pasuk Daled, the pasuk continues. So clearly, we're talking about Avram Avinu. And what happened? What did Hashem tell Avram Avinu? Nishba Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu swore. And he's not going to back out. Ata koyin la'olam, you're going to be koyin forever. Al divrasi malchi tzedek, because of the words al malchi tzedek of malchi tzedek al dibure shel malchi tzedek. So this is where you see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the kahuna away from malchi tzedek and gave it to Avram Avinu. And that's why the pasuk says when it's talking about malchi tzedek, who koyin lekel elyon, who koyin, he himself was a koyin. But the Zari Kohen over to his children. Baruch Hashem, we were zoicha to finish the third parak of Nedarim, and B'lineder will chazard again. Hadin Allah Arba Nedarim, Hadin Allah Arba Nedarim, Hadin Allah Arba Nedarim.
Yeah.
Left 4 minutes. Then we have a mission.
We'll stop here.
They told me today about the Kiddush that's going to be 8 o'clock because he's coming. It's a sign. It's a sign.
Yeah, but then he told